one company that was surprisingly amazing, continues to be surprisingly amazing, was...
Yeah, the core is actually looking really nice. This is my preferred core structure.
God, he hasn't said that about my core.
Nearly 40% of Australians have not logged in to their super account in the past 12 months. It's going to be one of the biggest assets to fund your retirement. And as Australians, we don't think about it.
Welcome to another episode of Equity Mates, a podcast where we explore what's possible in the world of investing. If you've just joined us for the very first time, a huge welcome to our community. My name is Bryce, and as always, I'm joined by my equity buddy, Ren. How are you?
I'm very good, Bryce. Great to be back for regularly scheduled programming.
Yes.
I'm excited to be back after 3 weeks where we had our Real Talk series.
Yeah.
We broke down how we invest, some of the best advice we've heard and some of the worst, and the story behind Equity Mates. We are back to regular Equity Mates programming.
Yes, and as we said at the start of the series, we've also taken a bit of a break.
Yeah, hence the series.
Hence the series. Back refreshed, ready to rock and roll to close out what has been an awesome 2025 so far.
And we're back with a big episode. Reporting season is underway here in Australia. We're going to talk about some of the big stories, moving markets. Pimp My Portfolio is back. Matt Ingram is going to be joining us and looking at the portfolio of a community member. And then we're closing out with Super September,
Yes.
something I'm particularly excited about, something we launched last year and is back better than ever. We'll talk more about that. But before we get into it, Bryce, you've just had 3 weeks off. I've had 3 weeks off. Where did you go? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Got some sun, got out of the Aussie winter and headed over to Singapore to kick off the holiday.
Yes.
Caught up with some good mates over there.
Saw a proposal.
Yes, one of my good mates got engaged.
Yeah, shout out Jaco. Congratulations.
Shout out Jaco in Gardens by the Bay. Almost had to reconsider the proposal location because of the amount of tourists.
Oh, really?
Very busy.
He didn't want to do it on the Marina Bay Sands.
No. We did head there later on in the day, though, for the 60th anniversary of Singapore. We went to a Michelin star restaurant.
Nice.
Which I thought I would leave being like, it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It was 100% worth it.
Really?
Yeah. It's just the service and the experience. Like every...
And the food?
Well, that's a given. That's a given. Yeah, 9 courses.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, all very, very small, obviously. But it's the experience. They clear the table and reset it after every course. And the setting would give a nod to the next dish that would come, if that makes sense. So they were kind of like trying to wind you up with
Like they'd put a lobster themed placemat on if you were going to eat lobster sort of thing.
Pretty much. They also moved us to different locations in the restaurant.
Too much pageantry.
No, it was awesome.
It should be about the food.
Well, the food was awesome. What we enjoyed about it most was most dishes were things that we'd never tried before and never experienced. So that was good.
Nice.
And then Bali and Indonesia for a couple of weeks.
Nice.
Absolute cruise town.
Kuta?
Again, caught up with a few friends. Kuta in Lombok. Not Kuta, which is very confusing.
Yeah, that is confusing.
So Kuta is in Lombok, an island about a 20-minute, 30-minute flight from Bali. But then there is obviously also Kuta in Bali, which most people are familiar with. But no, we spent some time in Kuta, Lombok, which was super relaxing.
Nice.
And you're in Sri Lanka.
I was in Sri Lanka, yeah. 3 weeks in Sri Lanka, which was epic. We heard a lot of good things, but I'd obviously never been. Epic country.
Yeah.
Really nice locals, really beautiful place. Spent some time like in the mountains surrounded by the tea fields there, and then went down to the East Coast and was like surfing every day and, massages and yoga and really relaxing.
Nice.
So, yeah, can't say I'm great at surfing. Alice, seriously good.
Get the bodyboard out.
No. Maybe this is just me rationalizing it all, but I have this view in life that like you should always suck at something.
Okay.
Like if you do an audit of your life right now and there's nothing that you suck at,
you're not trying enough.
You're not pushing yourself hard enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've recently moved to Maroubra and it's intimidating to learn to surf in Maroubra.
Definitely, yeah.
We decided to go halfway around the world to learn to surf.
Nice.
And yeah, I wasn't great. but we persisted.
Will you persist back here?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Probably a few more lessons
You need to
here
get
before.
the big surf. What are they? The big foam boards.
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah. Well, that's what I was on. Yeah. Alice graduated to the hard board. Yeah.
Nice.
My instructor didn't quite let me get that far, but good for the ego,
Yes.
to fall off a lot. And
Nice.
Yeah. Keep showing up.
And favorite food?
Oh, I mean, you order a Sri Lankan curry over there, and it's like you get all the trimmings. So you get like the coconut sambal and the dal and the pol roti and
Nice.
Yeah, so just getting the Sri
local.
Lankan curry. Yeah.
Love that.
Highly recommend Sri Lanka. Yeah. Before we went over, someone was like, "It's like Bali 20 years ago."
Yeah.
Like before all the development.
I would not recommend going to Bali now.
Okay.
Bali, obviously, as in Indonesia, 100%. We went to a place called Bingen, and last year I went there and it was stunning. It's a cliff sort of beach, very famous, and you can go there, sit on the beach and watch the sunsets. But 3 weeks before we went, the government sent in an army of people with hammers to effectively start knocking it down. And I thought it was a bit of a J-up, but we got there, the whole thing is like a war zone. And then they lit it on fire when we were there.
Oh.
Yeah, the whole thing just boom. And so my sense is some big developers come along and said, can we clear this thing up? Because the development in that area now is wild.
Right.
Yeah, way too busy. But anyway.
That's a bit of a wrap of where we've been for the last 3 weeks. And we took some time off because it's been a massive start to the year for us. A lot's been happening, as we've spoken about on the podcast. But it doesn't slow down.
No.
There's a lot still happening. Jobs are still open. If you want to come and join the team and help build the next phase of Equity Mates, head to equitymates.com/careers. But Bryce, we're also announcing our next round of live shows.
Yes, super excited. So come and join us. We're coming to Melbourne in October, and we're going to do a live event here in Sydney. All the details are at equitymates.com/events. But Ren, the theme of the event series is how you can build wealth in property and stocks, because we have none other than Sam Gordon joining us to help us understand how you can start building wealth through property. It doesn't have to be a choice. If you're feeling priced out of the property market, Sam will be showing us how we can start getting into the property market, as well as building, we'll be showing how you can build wealth through stocks.
Yeah, we'll be talking stocks, he'll be talking property, then Bryce and Sam will wrestle to see property versus stocks, who will win. So head to equitymates.com/events to get your tickets
Yes, they do sell out.
Yes, yeah. But look, that's enough about us. Let's get into what's happening in markets.
News and markets.
So the headlines we're going to cover today, earnings season is closing out in the US and here in Australia. The latest inflation data has come through for Australia, and Elon is taking on Microsoft. So let's start with the US, Ren.
Before we took a break and released our Real Talk series, the US earnings season was sort of halfway through.
Yep.
We've come back and it's pretty much done now. To give a quick update overall, and then we want to take a look at one specific company, but overall, this is data with 90% of US companies in the S&P 500 having reported. 81% beat earnings expectations. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, year-on-year profit growth rate, 11.8%.
That is pretty good as well.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think the headline for American earnings season, and probably for Aussie as well, is like surprisingly good or surprisingly okay.
It'll be interesting to see now if so many analysts not performed, but their expectations were low, what it'll do for next reporting season.
I think expectations will be low because some of the expected challenges just like, they perhaps hadn't fully flown through. Yeah. But look, if the overall reporting season headline is surprisingly okay or surprisingly good, one company that was surprisingly amazing, continues to be surprisingly amazing, was Nvidia.
Absolutely. So revenue for the second quarter was $46.7 billion, up 6% from the previous quarter and 56% year on year. And they beat analyst expectations. A lot of it came from their data center revenue, up 17%. Of course, their Blackwell AI chips is where it's all at the moment. I think in the last quarter, there was one customer who put in a $10 billion order.
Yeah, no one knows who it is, but it was like Microsoft, Amazon,
gotta be
or
one
Google.
of the big tech players.
Or XAI, I guess.
Yeah, true. Elon. Stock rose slightly, but obviously this is just an incredible performance. The revenue growth is unbelievable.
One story that I think is really worth watching that involves Nvidia that I sort of paid half attention to while we were away was they are now giving, 15% of sales proceeds from their H2O chips that are made for the Chinese market to the US government.
Yeah.
And similarly, the US government also is now taking an equity stake in Intel.
Intel, yeah.
I think this is a trend that is going to be really worth watching. Like the US government has the US government has picked winners before in some way, but like this is different.
Yeah.
This is
One
worth
to watch.
watching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bringing it back home here in Australia where earnings season is also wrapping up, ran a few things to note. Qantas had a record profit of 1.61 billion. Wesfarmers came out to say that consumers are starting to spend again. It's good news. And CSL got absolutely slammed. They got RFK'd or they are selling their vaccine business.
Yeah. Because of some of the anti-vaccine sentiment led by RFK Jr. over there. But the one, set of results that we wanted to focus on, the two companies we wanted to focus on, our former employers, because they are telling an interesting story. Coles and Woolies reported very different sets of results.
They did. So Coles had a pretty good result. Sales rose 4.3%. Profit was up 6.8%. E-commerce business going well. They exceeded market expectations.
Yeah, profit margins improved. Honestly, for slow-growing major grocery retailer,
It's a great result.
Sales growth above 4%, profit growth almost at 7%. Like you're not seeing that regularly.
No.
Just a reminder that
Here we go.
the team at Coles. Anyway, so that was Coles.
That was Coles. On the flip side, Woolies is struggling. Net profit dropped 17%. They say they've been hurt by strikes, cost pressures, and they have been restructuring. And the stock got hammered down 5% on the news, which for these companies is a pretty big drop.
Yeah. This is obviously not a scientific data source, but I was reading a Reddit thread.
Definitely not.
And there were people who work at Bella Vista, like Woolies HQ, just talking about how directionless it felt, like projects getting shelved. The longer term narrative is that the fortunes of these companies ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Like at times Coles is ascendant, at times Woolies is ascendant. I think it would take a lot for Coles to ever catch up to Woolies and be the number one. Like that's probably not on the cards, but I think Coles is having some wins recently. They've obviously got these fully automated DCs coming through as well.
Yeah.
Both like the big ones, but then Ocado for online. So it seems like they're seeing margin improvement. They're seeing sales growth. Woolies not doing too well, but
Bring back Brad.
it's all cyclical.
Bring
I think.
back Brad. All right, staying here in Australia, last week the inflation numbers were released and it was very surprising. The inflation number was 2.8% for the year through to July 2025. That was up from 1.9% the month earlier in June and well above the 2.3% that was expected by analysts.
Yeah. I don't. You say it's surprising. I didn't find it that surprising. Like
The market found it surprising.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's just like everyone is feeling cost pressure at the moment, and costs seem to keep rising. Unsurprisingly, electricity costs were a major contributor, up 13% on average the last month. But housing costs were up 3.6%. Food was up 3%. Alcohol and tobacco, big one for you, up 6.5%. So I think the key takeaway is that inflation is still a challenge.
Yeah.
Although 2.8% is within the
Still
2
in
to
the
3%
band.
target.
Yeah.
But the idea that we're going to see more and more rate cuts quicker and quicker, just probably
Cool your jets.
pour cold water on that assumption. I think traders pared back their bets on a September rate cut. I feel like we've been not that we're experts in any sense, but I feel like we've been pretty consistent for a while now that people are getting way over their skis around when these rate cuts will happen.
Well, we were supposed to see 6 this year, so
Yeah.
we haven't seen that at all. All right, closing out with what's going on in the world of Elon Musk, because he continues to do weird and wonderful things. And Ren, while we were away, he launched a tongue-in-cheek company called Macro Hard. This is a new AI software company underneath his AI company called XAI. And the purpose is to challenge legacy software companies. What he's trying to do with Macro Hard is prove that he can build a company like Microsoft using just AI and AI agents.
Yeah, which I find interesting because I think Microsoft has one of the strongest network effects in the world, maybe the strongest, which is that the world runs on Microsoft Office. Even if you can convince some companies to move to your new system, then all of a sudden they're not interoperable with the rest of the business world. And like we even find that it's a challenge sometimes as a Google Workspace company using Google Docs and Google Slides and Google Meet that we're not interoperable with the rest of the business world. And we've got to, download things as Word docs or use Microsoft Teams because people can't use our system. So it's a lot harder to build a enterprise software business than just build the product.
Absolutely.
You've got to build the network of people using the product. But anyway, let's see what companies sign up to Macro Hard Docs.
Welcome back to Equity Mates. It is time for...
This is Pimp My Portfolio. Pimp My Portfolio.
We have a community member on the line who has submitted their portfolio to be put under the microscope for one of our experts to review and provide some ideas. Our expert in the studio today is Matt Ingram. Matt, welcome.
Thank you.
And on the line, we have Scott. Scott, welcome to Equity Mates.
Thanks, fellas. Nice to be here.
We appreciate you submitting. We know it's not easy, but we're really excited to get into this one. So before we jump in, Scott, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, cool. So I'm from Wollongong, New South Wales, and work in kind of the IT and steelmaking industry, and I guess been sort of investing for about 5 or 6 years.
Love it. Alrighty. Well, Ren, do you want to take us through Scott's portfolio?
Yeah, so Scott, I think, is running a bit of a core and satellite structure. 60% of his portfolio is split across 3 ETFs. We've got iShares ASX 200, we've got Vanguard All World ex-US, and we've got the iShares Core MSCI World ex-Australia ESG, IWLD.
Great.
So that's 60% of the fund. And then we've got some direct holdings. So here in Australia, we've got Catapult, Highcom, Stealth, and Strata Minerals. Overseas, we've got Novo Nordisk and Super Micro. And then Scott's got 3% of his portfolio in Bitcoin.
God, what a portfolio.
So some familiar names there.
Wow.
We've certainly chatted about them. Well, Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this portfolio has come together?
Yeah, so I mean, this structure has probably only been there for about 18 months or so. Prior to that, there's a graveyard of red and a bunch of other stuff. And as for the ETFs, yeah, I guess I didn't want to go down the route of some of the more common ones, and that's why I went with the iWorld.
So you're saying over the last sort of 18 months, you've really started to build that sort of core and satellite approach?
I had a bit of a core earlier, so I had DHHF for a while, and then I wanted to take more control over my percentages and direct things a little bit more outside of the US rather than having 60-70% in DHHF in US.
Yeah, fair,
Nice.
fair. Well, Matt, initially, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the core is actually looking really nice. This is my preferred core structure.
Okay.
If I'm going to do a core satellite approach, maybe not those exact names, but having the something sort of global or at least quite US centric. And we've got that in IWLD, which is 70% US. This is like a ESG version of that, but that's okay. It's not actually that different. And then you've got VEU, which is ex-USA. And then you've got the Aussie market. You've done it to 60% of the portfolio. And even the way you've weighted the individual ones, in terms of 15% of Aussie market and 18% VEU and then 27% for the all world, I think it's a really nice core. I think the interesting stuff comes in with the satellites.
Okay,
Wow.
well, big tick for the core. Love to
Jeez.
hear that.
God, he hasn't said that about my core.
All right, well, where do you want to start with the satellites then, Matt?
Scott, is there any in particular that you wanted to chat about? Because there's a few there.
Strata's a bit of a watch position, so that's probably but Nova Nordisk, I'd be keen to get some insights or some thoughts on.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, Strata is actually the only one that I've put in big letters sell. And that's purely, if this was my portfolio, I would be dumping that just because it's such a small holding in there. Nothing against gold. I think you need some gold exposure, but I think something like a gold miners ETF that's going to give you a few more names in there would probably be appropriate. Nova Nordisk, yeah, I mean, it's had some pretty heavy falls over the last 12 months. It's come back a bit, potentially a bit oversold, but there's been increasing competition from Eli Lilly on the weight loss side of things. There's been some disappointing results on their weight loss drug in terms of the trials. They had their CEO that had been in there for 8 years that got axed last month. So just a lot going against it, looking a bit beat up. But I mean, if you're keen on that space, that whole weight loss drug movement, which I think there's definitely a future in that, then it's looking pretty cheap next to Eli Lilly, which is obviously one of the other big players in that. So PE more around 20-ish compared to 60-ish of Eli Lilly. It is getting pretty heavy. I mean, 8% in a single stock, especially something that is fairly volatile and can move pretty quickly. I would put it as a hold for now, if not a bit of a trim and then hold, just because it's getting heavy. But I think hang in there.
So, Matt, I want to ask you about Scott's largest individual stock holding, which is a stock that I also own. So I'm interested to get your thoughts. Catapult, ASX ticker CAT.
Yeah, Ren, I know you like it as well. I know you've got it. Not to go against what I just said. I just said Nova Nordisk getting a bit big. You might trim it. But Catapult, I think, has just got a long way to go. It might be a big part of the portfolio now. It might be a bit expensive, but without going into too much detail, because you've talked about it here a bit before, I mean, it's a great company. I think it's got a long way to go. Clear leader in the space. Plenty of markets that they haven't tapped into yet. I would hold that for sure.
Yeah,
Nice.
that one for me. Let your winners run.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah,
Nice.
I like that one.
Big time. Let your winners run and cut the weeds out. Get rid of Strata.
So, Scott, while you've got Matt here, what questions did you have about your satellite portfolio that you want to get him to share some thoughts on?
If someone had a lump sum and that they wanted to start investing in a portfolio like this, let's say it was, another 25% on top of what's there, how would you go about approaching that with mainly divesting it into the core?
I mean, I have this problem all the time when I'm managing portfolios for clients that have a core or that are taking a core and satellite approach, and then some money comes in, whether it's a small amount, a large amount. It's like, okay, where does this go? Does it go to the core or does it go to the satellite? For me, the decision comes down to where are we in terms of the broader market? What's happening? If the market's down and I expect that everything's going to be sort of rising together. So that recent Liberation Day, everything got smashed, everything was down, and it was pretty clear that, well, everything's down, most of these are probably going to start pulling back up. That's where the market made sense to go into it. But when the market's at an all-time high like it is now, that's where I'm thinking, okay, is there better opportunities, a bit more value in some of the single names and some of the satellites? If there are no satellites that you're looking at that you think look cheap or good value or just a good opportunity at the moment, then just default to the core. Just go there. But if there are satellites that you're looking at right now that look good, then I would be thinking a bit more closely about them.
I find that interesting. So Scott's got a 60-40 split, and let's assume, Scott, that 60-40 is the split you want. You wouldn't take a lump sum and split it 60-40 to keep that weighting the same?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, no, you absolutely could. Like if it's a large enough lump sum that you could do that. I guess when I'm doing it, it's normally things like, small amounts coming in, a bit more of a dollar cost average approach where it's like, okay, I have to pick one. If it's substantial enough that brokerage isn't going to kill you by splitting it into, 5 different holdings, then try to keep that weighting. Like I said before, that 60% core is really good. How you've got that core split up is really good. But if you're going to be adding to everything,
then you got to think about cost.
Start thinking about the costs involved. Yeah. So if it's not enough, that's where you might just think more about the satellites.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What would be kind of the one thing you would change?
The one thing I would change.
Nice.
Oh, sell Bitcoin.
No,
Really?
I'm joking. I'm definitely joking.
What do you think about the crypto allocation? 3% of the portfolio in Bitcoin.
I think that's suitable. 3 to 5%. Like any other holding, I think is Bryce is nodding, but I know he's.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah. I think the Bitcoin allocation is good. If I was going to make one big change, I mean, it's not a big change, but really I would just sell strata, get some more diversified gold exposure. There's ETFs out there like GDX that just get you all of these gold miners and explorers, and you can get all of these names, get a bigger allocation towards that. Gold's run hard, but having some exposure to it in the portfolio is good, and keeping that as just one little holding in strata minerals probably isn't enough. So that'd be my big change.
Okay.
Nice. Well, Scott, I think, great portfolio, some good stock picks. Matt loved your core, so a lot to like there. So keep on keeping on, and we appreciate you sharing your portfolio with us today.
Awesome. Thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate it.
And Matt, thank you so much for spending your time with not only Scott today, but all of the other community members that submit their portfolios. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
If you would like to submit to Pimp My Portfolio, head to equitymates.com/contact and you can fill in the form there. If you'd like to speak to Matt or any of the other handpicked advisors in our network, head to equitymates.com/advice. Fill in the form and we will connect you. Welcome back to Equity Mates. Now, Ren, you teased it at the top. Today is the launch of Super September.
No, it is the start of September.
Yes.
This episode is going out on the 1st of September, and last year we launched a concept of Super September, the month where all Australians engage with their superannuation. We don't think about it enough. When we get to retirement, it is going to be the biggest or the second biggest asset, depending on the value of your house, I guess. But it's going to be one of the biggest assets to fund your retirement. And as Australians, we don't think about it. So Super September is that time to wake up and engage with your super. And that is what we're going to be talking about throughout the month of September.
That's it. So all the important things that you should be considering. And this series, Super September, is proudly brought to you by our partner, Vanguard Super. So Ren, today we're going to start with the absolute basic, which is step number 1, just log in.
Yes.
Just log into your super funds.
Every Monday and Thursday episode, we're going to be giving one actionable insight or something that you can go away and do to engage with your super. And this action, it doesn't get simpler than this, but it is important. Just log in.
Just log in.
And the reason we are starting there is because nearly 40% of Australians have not logged in to their super account in the past 12 months.
When's the last time you logged in?
Very recently.
Yeah.
Right before I went away on holidays, because I'm going through the process of getting financial advice.
Nice.
And I logged in to get my numbers.
Perfect.
Actually,
Yeah.
and I also logged in because you deal with payroll, and it was discovered that you had actually underpaid me my super.
That is true from way back.
Yeah.
Yes, one payment.
Wage theft.
It bounced.
Equity
because
Mates wage theft. One founder stealing from the other. But I log in semi-regularly because I have a self-directed
Yeah.
super fund where I can direct some of the investments. And so I do that. Put the question back to you. When's the last time you logged in?
Very recently as well, very similar situation, going through financial advice, need to log in and get the numbers, but also because, we manage it ourselves. And so I always like to have a pretty detailed view of what's going on.
Yeah. So that 40% stat came from the Australian government, the AFSA, which is the Australian Financial Security Authority. A separate poll from YouGov found that 77% of Australians do not check their super app regularly. Now, that's not good, and we want to explain why it's not good, why it matters, and why you should be checking your super, not every day, but at least, once a quarter.
At least.
Yeah.
At least once a year.
Yeah, at least once a year.
At least once a year.
So why does it matter?
It matters because, firstly, for most of us, superannuation is our largest long-term investment outside of the primary place of residence. And in some cases, your superannuation. If you are not checking where that 12% is going, you risk duplication, you risk paying too much for superannuation, high fees, you risk poor performance, and not even knowing how much money you have in your super fund.
Here's what I want everyone to do. Close your eyes.
Done.
If you're driving and listening to the podcast, don't close your eyes. Think 3 p.m. on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Think about what you're doing at that time.
Yeah.
At that point in the week, you've got about 12% of your working week left.
Yes.
Every client you meet, every document you finish, every email you reply to, every class that you teach, every delivery you make, whatever your job is, from that point on, the money that you're making, the effort that you're putting in, that you're getting paid for, is going to your super fund.
Good. Pay attention.
Pay attention because you're working hard for that money. You want to make sure that it is going somewhere where it will work as hard for you as you worked for it.
So sign in, log in. That is the action that we want you to take today. And Ren, by doing so, the value is pretty significant. Logging in, checking your superannuation could lead to gains exceeding $250,000 over the long term, according to the Australian.
Don't ask us for the maths.
So
That's from the Australian.
it is well worth checking in. So let's close this out, Ren, with some calls to action. Firstly, log in.
Well, yeah, I think this whole segment has been a call to action.
Check your balance, check your investment options, your recent performance. We'll cover all of these things in more detail throughout the month of September. But today, it's not about changing anything. It's not about doing anything other than dusting off your login details, becoming aware of who your super fund is and logging in.
Yeah, and then over the course of this month, over Super September, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff that you can do to optimize your super, making sure you're with the right provider, tracking down lost super, avoiding duplication, making voluntary contributions, being in the right investment option. We're going to cover it all because it matters, and too many Australians don't engage with their super. We don't think about it as part of our investment portfolio, but it is so important. It matters. And this month of Super September is the time to engage with it.
Absolutely. So a massive thank you goes to our partner for Super September, Vanguard Super.
Do you not like money? Because if you're not with a low fee super fund, you could be giving away money on high fees.
Vanguard's life cycle option has a low yearly fee of just 0.56%. That's only $280 on a $50,000 balance. So future you can keep more of what's yours for your future.
Head to vanguard.com.au/super to explore Vanguard Super.
Products issued by Vanguard Super Proprietary Limited. Consider the PDS and TMD at vanguard.com.au/super and decide if it's right for you. Other costs and charges may apply. Please refer to the PDS.
All right, well, that brings us to an end of this episode of Equity Mates. It's good to be back.
It is.
We've got a big end to the year coming up, so make sure you're subscribed wherever you're watching or listening so you don't miss any episodes. If you want to come and see us live, head to equitymates.com/events. If you want to come and join the team, head to equitymates.com/careers. If you don't want either of those things, just head to equitymates.com.
Just keep
There's
listening.
heaps of information there to keep you learning and to keep you going on your investing journey. But Bryce, we'll pick it up next week.
Sounds good.
I will say this about investing. Everything you do learn is cumulative. What I learned at 20 is useful.